Hi guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be drafting this drop shoulder variation, which is actually an off shoulder from made from a basic drop shoulder. So if that is what you want to see, then you want to watch this video to the end. For the front pattern, we have our front bodice block, and also I've gone ahead to mark my bust line, also my underbust line, my waistline, and also my hip line. I'm going to be labeling that. I'm actually making it a top and not a gown because we're concentrating on the drop shoulder variation, the off shoulder drop shoulder. Yeah, the off shoulder drop shoulder. So having done that now, I'm also gonna head to impute my dart, my waistline dart, and my side bust dart, and also my bust circumference. I have a video in my channel of a detailed bust circumference, the way how to measure it and how to impute it. I have a detailed video of that in my channel, so you want to see that out if you've not been following my tutorials. So having done that, I'll go ahead to contour my underbust. Okay, before I contour my underbust, I'll be going from my shoulder. I'll be marking my mid shoulder. From now, I'm marking my mid shoulder, and with a straight line I'll be connecting it to my bust point like so. And having done that now, I'm going to be contouring my underbust, which I'm marking 0.8 inches on both sides, having my bust apart line as a center, 0.8 inches on both sides of the underbust line. I just hope this makes sense. If you're watching closely, then you understand what I'm saying. I also have a detailed explanation of this in my channel, the same video where I have that underbust that bust circumference. I also have this. I think majorly many of my videos have this detailed explanation. Okay, so having done that, also on both sides 0.8 inches on the underbust line, I'll be going in with my ruler to connect it like so. From the bust point to the waistline on both sides. Okay, bust point to waistline on both sides. Also, I'll go ahead to contour my neckline. The reason why we are contouring this neckline is because it's an off shoulder. You don't want to have an off shoulder that is going to gap. You want it to be fitted closely on you, so no matter how you move around, no matter how you move around, nothing is going, there will be any excess fabric at odd places. It's just smoothly fitted around your shoulders. It's not falling off. Your sleeves are not falling off. Your neckline isn't gapping. So that's the reason why we are contouring, for that close fitted look for the off shoulder. I went ahead to mark on my bust circumference 0. Like so to the tip of the neckline, and also to the bust point like so. So having done that, I'll be working on my sleeves now. I've labeled front, back, and as you can see, the center is actually visible. So I'll be using my scissors to cut this sleeve in two pieces from the center, separating the front from the back. Just like I'm doing now, I'm separating the front from the back, making it to be a two-piece sleeve. I just want to separate the front from the back, and since we're working on the front, we're going to be setting the back aside and making use of the front. So I'll be attaching this front sleeve to my shoulder, to my armhole, the armhole of my front bodice like so. So having done that now, I'll be going in to determine my drop shoulder from this very point of my center sleeve, and I'll be marking 3.5 inches. these particular places, what we're looking for here is just your cap sleeve. So for some persons their cap sleeve is 5 inches, for some people 4 inches. I think 5 inches should be the maximum, except if you're a plus size, then you know where your cap sleeve falls. But 4 to 5 inches, here I'm using 3.5 inches. Okay, for a basic drop shoulder, it's just your cap sleeve. So having done that, now I'm going to be using my French curve to draw out my style lines. Remember, for this tutorial, this top is actually a sweetheart neckline, a deep V neckline, or so to say. So I'm going to be marking from my basic neckline 3.5 inch, making everything 6 inches from my shoulder line. And I'm going to be drawing a style line like so. I actually went down by ½ inch just so the V-neck or the sweetheart neckline is visible and not showing my cleavage. So having done this, now I'll be using my French curve to make sure this line is okay and not regular. Remember, you cut what you sew. Is what you cut that you sew. So if this style line isn't really nice, your sweetheart neckline might not really be nice on the fabric also. So you want to make sure that it is okay and not irregular. So having done that, I'm going ahead with my marker for this very particular part of the drop shoulder. We want it to be curved. We want the drop shoulder variation to be curved, the curved. So I'm using my French curve to curve it in like so. I'll be going in with my marker just so it's visible and you see clearly what I'm doing. Connecting that line also to my off shoulder neckline. So to be on the safer side, we're going to be taking out the sleeve first. Before we work on the bodies, we're going to be taking out the part of the sleeve that we wouldn't be needing for the drop shoulder, okay? So having done this now, this is basic. I'm going to be labeling the sleeve so I don't get confused when I work on the back. I've labeled front and also the center so I don't get confused when I work on the back piece. So having done this, I'm going to set it aside. So now this is a basic drop shoulder. If you don't want an off shoulder, you can leave yours as this, okay? This is a basic drop shoulder. There are some shirts that have this kind of design. It's called the drop shoulder. So having done that now, we are going to be determining the length that we need for our off shoulder variation of the drop shoulder. So here I'm going in by 2 inches, okay? I'm going in by 2 inches. I'm going to mark 2 inches. And I'm going to be connecting the 2 inches like so to the off shoulder neckline. I'm going to be connecting the 2 inches like so to the off shoulder neckline. You want to watch closely so you understand what I'm doing, okay? It's actually very simple. If you concentrate on this video, it's very, very simple. So I'm going in with my marker to draw it out just so you see and understand what I'm doing. So I'm going ahead to separate it just so we have our off shoulder variation of the drop shoulder. I'm going to be taping this very particular place down just so it stays in place and not move around. Remember, when we are cutting this, I'm going to also show you when we are cutting this on a fabric, we are going to be having it as a whole. It's going to be a whole piece and all the patches of tapes wouldn't be there. Okay, this is actually our design pattern. So having done this now, we're setting this aside. We wouldn't be needing it. So this is what we'll be needing for our off shoulder variation of a drop shoulder. I'm going ahead now to open my side bust dart just so I create my shoulder dart princess seam. And from that line we marked, from the mid shoulder, I'm going to be cutting it open and closing my side bust dart. I'll be opening it at that shoulder line, thereby having my shoulder princess seam. I'm going to be closing the side bust dart and opening it at the shoulder and that mid shoulder line, and that will be my shoulder princess seam line. Also, I'm going to be closing the dart for the contour of the neckline, okay? For the contour of the neckline, like we explained before, because we don't want it to gap, we want it to be fitted closely to our chest. So I'm going to be closing up that dart like so. And I'll be taping this down. So having done this now, I'll go ahead to eliminate the darts from the waistline, the underbust, just so we have this very particular pattern fitted. So I'm eliminating the darts now. And I'll be going ahead with my pen to remove those sharp ends, you know. We're going to be removing those sharp curves because we don't want it to be pointed. We want this to come out natural, like very like smooth, like our bust, like the breast. And so I'm going to be removing those very sharp curves. Okay, if you've been following my tutorials, you know that I always do this. So having done that, this is what you should be having as your pattern for the front. This is what you should be having as your pattern for the front. And we'll be cutting this on a full fabric, don't forget. So for the back, it's basically what we did to the front. It's also what we're going to do to the back, but there are some little difference, okay? Having attached the sleeve to the armhole, we're also going to be marking 3.5 inches from the center of the 3.5 inches from the shoulder up to the center of the back sleeve, like so. Okay, but before that, I'll be going down by 3 inches from the mid shoulder. I'll be going down by, or wherever, just from the shoulder, just mark 3 inches downwards and use your ruler to draw this down like so. And then from your bust apart measurement, extend it to that 3-inch line. Or you can actually mark your bust apart measurement from that line and connect it to the bust apart line like so. So I'm going to be taking my dart from that very point up onto my waistline like so. From that very point up to my waistline like so. And that has got to be my back dart for this very particular tutorial. So I'm going ahead to mark 3.5 inches, just like we did to the front for the drop shoulder sleeve variation. Okay, and using my ruler for the back neckline, I'll be using a round neckline for the back. And also 2 inches for the off shoulder variation of the drop shoulder, just like we did to the front. And for the depth of my back neckline, I'll be marking 5.5 inches, which is actually 6 from the shoulder line. And connecting it like so to the back neckline. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button. If you love this video, if this video is being helpful to you now, then hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel for more of this kind of content if that is what you love to see. Okay, and join the family. Thank you. And I'm gonna have to cut it off for the off shoulder variation of the drop shoulder. Also, I'll be cutting out the sleeve part, which I'm doing like so. Same thing we did to the front. So having done this now, I'll be labeling the sleeve just so I don't get confused when I'm working with it, and I'll be setting it aside also. So I'll be eliminating the darts for the back bodies just so I have a fitted back bodies. Okay. So having done that, this is what you should be having as your back piece. And for the sleeve, we'll go ahead to join the front and the back together from the center like so. We'll go ahead to join the front and back together from the center like so. This is a gathered sleeve. We want to add fullness to this sleeve, okay? So we're going to be gathering the sleeve and we're slashing and spreading through. Yes, we are cutting through. I'm also going to be doing that right away. So I'm drawing these lines just so I have a guideline. It's nothing. You can decide not to draw a line, but I always do this just so I can have a guideline to know where I put my scissors and stuff to make it easier for me. So I've gone ahead to cut through this basic sleeve, and I'm gonna ahead to add fullness on a fresh pattern paper following the exact shape of the foundation sleeve as you're seeing me doing now. So for the front pattern, I'm gonna head to cut the center front unfold. Okay, I'm gonna head to cut the center front unfold, and this is what you should be having. Also the back, the side front, I'm gonna head to cut this of the side front. So laying them flat just so you see what it looks like. This is what you should be having as the whole of your front piece. This is what you should be having as the whole of your front piece. As you can see, that off shoulder drop, that variation of off shoulder drop shoulder is actually visible. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Drop shoulder. Drop shoulder is the basic. So the variation is the off shoulder, okay? So we see the off shoulder, drop shoulder, something like that, guys. So also the back, this is what the back looks like. I'm gonna have to impute my notches. Please mark your notches, very necessary, so you know where you're sewing. Mark your notches, very necessary, okay? Very necessary. Mark your notches. So having done that now, also for the front, I'm gonna have to do for the stitches. Make sure you align your notches, especially the notch on the bust part and underbust. Everything should be on they all should align. If you've carefully drafted your pattern, then they all should align, okay? Then having done that, you're going to be sewing it either from the top to the down like so, and after sewing you should have something like this, okay? Be sure you iron properly on your fabric. Please iron properly on your fabric. So I'm gonna head also to attach the back to this very particular front, and this is what it looks like, okay? I'm gonna head to attach the back. As you can see, the off shoulder drop shoulder variation is already visible, and what is left is to attach the sleeves, okay? So this is the sleeve. I'm gonna head to label front, And I've used my notch to mark the center sleeve, which I'm going to be putting on this very part of the sleeve where you joined front and back together, which is also the center. So I haven't done that. Making sure that those centers align, you want to sew all the way down to the armhole, all the way down, yes, to where the armhole stops, like the way you fix your normal sleeve, all the way down like so. Yes, all the way down like so, on both sides, on the front and the back. So I'm gonna head to attach the sleeve, and this is what it looks like. And yes, this is it for this tutorial. If you've found this video helpful, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on your bell notification so you get notified whenever I post a new video, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.